Welcome to Salesology, conversations with sales leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. When you're ready to transform your sales for today's transforming market, we've got you covered with your host, the queen of cold calling and founder of Salesology, award-winning author, speaker, sales trainer, and coach, Wendy Weiss.
Hi, welcome to Salesology, conversations with sales leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. And I'm your host, Wendy Weiss. I am the founder of Salesology, creator of the Salesology prospecting method. And I am also known as the queen of cold calling. And today I have a very special guest. Her name is Nancy Wilhite, and her company is Grow Consulting. Nancy currently leads a professional consulting business, helping to develop leaders on their executive presence, communication, presenting, and strategic planning. She has a strong focus on commercial real estate professionals and market leaders working on their business development processes and running high-performing teams. And I have known Nancy since I'm thinking about 2012. So welcome, Nancy. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Yeah. So let's begin at the beginning, because that's where I always begin. Tell us your story. How did you happen to get into commercial real estate? How did you happen to start Grow Consulting?
Okay, thanks for the question. 40 years ago or so, I was really working with people. And I feel now, and 40 years ago, we're in the people business. We do things with and through people. I was more on the operation, and I didn't have any specific focus on commercial real estate. It was more serendipitous. I was really good at running operations and high-charged people. I grew up in a family of mostly boys, and so I was used to being around high energy, fast-moving. And I was working in-house in a legal firm, and I got recruited to come over to CB, and it was on the operations side. This is 40 years ago. And, in those days, things were a little bit more Wild West, and it was more regional and not national or global. Everybody ran their own show. And, quite frankly, I was tasked to create sound and strong people who serve the brokers and help facilitate inside business. Brokerage is outside, inside business. And so I did well there in operations and growing and developing people. Again, we do things with and through people. It doesn't matter to me if they're a broker, who makes $10 million a year, or a marketing special. It's all about working at your highest and best return and growing. People are motivated and inspired when they're always growing. Long story short, along the way, I was very good with the juniors and the young folks coming in, and sales management evolved from there. And I had my first big oversight of all the juniors in Southern California, and helping develop them and putting programs in place. And that became, through that, I got a lot of experience about how to develop a young broker, what works, what doesn't work, who's built for that industry, who's got the backbone and the stamina, because it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And I loved it. I love their energy, and I love their hope, and I love their vision, and I love their sort of innocence of corporate world. But we learn along the way, right? And then I evolved, and at one point got to work as a market leader in LA and work with, all the brokers. And it's, brokers run a business within a business. It doesn't matter what company you're with. Their team is their business. They're very entrepreneurial, and it's really about managing your time, your focus, and your vision so that you are constantly growing your business and serving your clients at the highest end. Along the way, corporate America's changed a lot, and a lot more structure and protocol and, let's say, internal policies have been put in place, which brokers like freedom. And, I think my skill set of being able to weave operations into brokerage helped guide that a little bit smoothly so that it wasn't rocky for them. And then my last few years, I was on the national platform running sales management. And one of my most fun was running the high performing teams, bringing the best performing teams across the country together at these sessions. They could have been in Chicago or Dallas. Sometimes we did it in market. And it's really about learning how to run their teams better, be more efficient with processes, constantly business developing and managing their time based on their role and responsibility really well. That was a lot of fun and a lot of challenge because, what do we say? People are the darndest thing. And so it's really communicating with them so they hear it and can do it and implement it. If people don't create momentum around change, it just dies and they can't keep it going. So I'm a huge fan of creating momentum and excitement so they see quick hits and quick benefits. So they will repeat the habit and they will continue to run a more efficient, tighter business. So COVID came and I'm in the late stages of my career there. And at that time, downsizing was happening everywhere. And that was a moment for me. Nobody wants to end a 30-year career because of COVID, but I'm sure millions of people can relate. And the next week, I just thought, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to take my knowledge bank and my show on the road. And I just quickly started the consulting company. And the deal is I'm doing the same thing. I'm just now a consultant. And I stay very true and focused to my highest talent in effectuating change for them so that they see the return. That's a long story. And in the middle, I had 4 kids and 10 grandkids.
Okay. Wow. So there's also a lot to unpack in your story. So I want to ask you, because one of the first things you said was we work with and through people. And I thought that was really interesting. I think that's not really a concept that comes up a lot. It's true. And so I wonder what that means to you. And I'm also wondering how you incorporate that in your work with your clients, because I don't hear that a lot. I mean, it's a great thing to hear, but I don't hear it a lot.
It is true to my core, and I never forget where it starts, and we're all wired differently. And to get the most out of a person, and for them or for, the people they're working with, we really have to understand these are human beings who digest information distinct to them, and language and how we communicate to them is really important so that they can grasp it, get it, and actualize it. And I never forget that I'm working with and through people. It doesn't matter to me if it's a high-end broker or an admin on the team or marketing or research. They all bring a component that's necessary for the whole. And so for the whole to be successful, we need to understand each person's part of the whole. And I never lose sight of we do things with and through people. And I know for a fact, as they maximize and magnify their superpowers, in the end result, it's good for everyone.
Okay. So you said something about encouraging and motivating people and keeping the momentum going. And I'm actually very curious about that, because I was speaking with somebody this morning who is a VP of sales, and he was telling me that last year they had such a good year they sold so much, and this was a different industry they were manufacturing, but they sold so much that the company couldn't keep up and is now uh, not all these things they sold, the company's not fulfilling on because they just couldn't keep up. And so that's what he said, was he was experiencing how does he keep the momentum and excitement with his team, because they're now feeling demoralized and afraid to sell because they're afraid that the company is not going to be able to fulfill the orders. So I'm wondering, and maybe there's something before that about how the selling process should have been managed. But I'm wondering if you have words of wisdom on just, keeping momentum up and keeping excitement up and having.
Yeah, from the story you're sharing, it sounds to me, I call it the pop point. And whether it's a big manufacturer or a team I'm working with, everybody wants to expand their people and get the most out of them. That's just a common thing. They will hit a pop point. And I like when a pop point happens because it tells us what we need to do next. And it sounds to me like they're quite successful. They just don't have enough resources to support the success. I also keep things real simple and real easy to do. If they're making 25 million widgets, and they need X amount of people to do that, and they're at their pop point, that's the answer. They need X amount more. And when I'm working with teams, I want everybody's roles and responsibilities, whatever their thing is on the team, to be so clear, like they have their, let's just say, their manual, their way of doing it, that when they bring somebody in, the startup isn't so hard. The training isn't like a start over every time. We do things with people and through people, but they have a specific role and responsibility. And that could change as they grow. But as we bring structure and order around each role and responsibility, like at this company, clearly they don't have enough resources. So the answer is, what's our plan for resources? Same with the team. And how, in what timeline can we do it? Because we're running a business. Same for them. And we get everybody together to understand, we hear you, we see you, we're at that point. What's the next best thing we should do? In life, it's the same thing. What is the next best thing we should do? And I don't want to personalize it to people. They have a role, and that person, we want to get the right fit in the right role so they maximize it and they feel good and satisfied about it as well.
Okay, so how do you get the right person in the right role? Because one of the things that I hear a lot is how hard it is to hire salespeople, or how hard it is to hire new associates in the commercial real estate industry, and have them end up being successful. So
Yeah,
how do you do that?
it is hard. Hiring is the hardest thing. And you want to be very specific and very intentional about who you hire. I would step back, though, and say, what are we hiring for? Whether I'm working with a team that's, 15-man team, or, 2-man team that wants to grow, because they're making more widgets, right? And they need more resources. This is just different words, same thing. And, why I want to go back to roles and responsibilities is your business plan, whether you do it on a cocktail napkin or you are very thorough, you have to know what you're hiring to. And often that step is missed, or they want to combine it with 3 other things to save money. So, if you're hiring a 3-pronged job, probably that person is good maybe at 2, and that is doomed for failure. We need to figure out, I encourage them to figure out, what is the next thing you're hiring to? What will it do? How will it impact all the other ingredients on the team? And what's the outcome? We need to know our impact along, the process. And people are part of a process. So, hire to the role and responsibility and the fit and culture within, whether it's that company you mentioned and or a team. Teams have cultures, and brokers by nature have thicker skin, have a higher level of uh, risk appetite. And so as you're interviewing, you just got to feel what that is with those folks. You can tell by the questions they ask also. I will say the generations coming in are different than 30 years ago. And we can never forget the different age groups. We all move from a different decade of experiences. And I know in this perfect HR protocol world, we're not supposed to bring up age, but it's really a ridiculous notion. I don't think age is a sensitive issue. It's a somebody in their 60s got to know more than somebody in their 20s and have way more life experience. So it is a layer that should be factored in. It's not, I'm not good, not bad. It's just a time in life that they either have more decades of knowledge and experience or they have less. So it's multi-layered, but you start with, what are we hiring to? What are we trying to solve? That company's trying to solve for not enough people to get the things done. And they're feeling they're burnout probably, or drowning, or whatever they're feeling. It's real. It's real.
Absolutely. And I think I'm also hearing you say that you want to be looking at what, what role you're hiring to, and also what is the business problem that you're trying to solve by hiring this person. Right. But also you need to have, once you've identified that and you're going to looking for somebody to hire, you need to have a process in place to get them up and running and being productive really quickly.
Right.
I'm curious what you see, because what I see a lot is there's no process in place.
Yeah, and brokers are famous for that because they like the energy of quick, fast, thinking on their feet. And you don't want to take that away. It is a powerful energy that sustains them and drives them. I am big on sprints. I like 30, 60, 90-day plans. When people see in 30 days I've learned this, they'll jump on the second 30 days. And so it is really, what are the quickest ways to train them so they feel good about getting it, and do it specifically and in a layered fashion so they learn the things they need to know first. You're absolutely right. Nobody slows down enough for a process. And because we're all too busy to be busy, and social media and things are coming at us so fast that we think we have to respond to everything. It's an addiction. It is very, very real, and it's impacting quality outcomes. I like to slow it down and say, what is the first 30 days? And everybody, will have a lot of yeah buts, and that's okay. I want to hear the yeah buts because we want to factor in, they're just telling me what matters most to them when they say yeah but, right? So, if you're hiring a junior broker or let's say marketing, a PR person, what are the priorities? And really getting people to slow down and say, no, we're going to look at what are your 5 priorities, and just pull it out of them. And then we'll have another 5, and then we'll have another 5. And we're nimble. We change if something moves and we have to move it up the priority ladder, we do. But without any structure in place, they'll flop.
Yes. Agreed. So I'm wondering, what is your definition of the word leader or leadership? Because when I was introducing you and I'm looking at your bio here, it says you help to develop leaders. And I think different people mean different things when they say that, the word leader or leadership. So what's your definition of leader or leadership? What does that mean?
That's a great question. I think leaders, I look at it as how sometimes they have an official title and they're a leader, and sometimes they just are. And it's their presence. It is their ability to think quickly, take a lot of information and synthesize it and communicate it so many people can be successful and move things forward. Leaders have a ability to say difficult things in such a easy way to accept, process, and do something with. Leaders are held to a different standard because they have to sometimes push through the wall first and help the others through. It doesn't matter what they're leading, if you're leading a family, if you're leading a dance group, if you're leading a workout group, if you're the head of the peloton, it's a courageous vision done in a very natural way. Now, there's a lot of leaders who are into it because of the power. Okay, that's their approach, and people do it a lot of different ways. I think the most effective leaders are the ones who can influence, like they say, hearts and minds. You can get people to move along and row with you, and everybody's in it to win it together. I don't know. Did that answer it?
Yes, it did. So leaders, born and made?
Probably both. Probably. I mean, I have 4 kids and 10 grandkids, and I can see just as the littles go to teenage and then adults and they have kids, you can see the different temperaments. And yes, there's a lot of natural instincts in leadership, and then some are well crafted through training. I think it's not one without the other, probably. I never forget, though. We do things with and through people. And while it's not my approach might not be as MBA school language as most, I think that once people know you're in it with them, they will go the distance with you. So, I like to slow down to speed up.
I like that. I like that a lot. So, if people want to get in touch with you, Nancy, now we have your website, and if you want to get in touch with Nancy, we are going to put the link to Nancy's company, Grow Consulting. We'll put that website in the show notes. So as soon as you finish listening to this podcast, you can go to the show notes and click on the link. And we also have your LinkedIn profile, Nancy. And so we're going to put that in the show notes. So if you'd like to connect with Nancy on LinkedIn, as soon as you finish listening to this podcast, go to the show notes and click on the link. And any final thoughts for us on do's or don'ts about being a leader and hiring great people and all the things we've talked about? We want to sum it up in a handful of sentences for us today.
We learn through the mistakes we make, and I don't cry in my soup over anything. I just look at it and go, okay, that didn't work. Now we know we don't need to do that again. So when we're working with teams or solo brokers or young people, managing expectations about how outcomes will be is sort of a phased approach. We will make mistakes along the way. And I love looking at and thinking, well, I didn't see that. I've learned this. I don't need to do that again. I think when we fail fast and move forward and continue to create the best habits that invoke the best energy from others, I think good things happen. I'm going to end with how I began. We do things with and through people, and I never forget that.
Okay. So this has been a wonderful interview, Nancy. Will you put your hand over your heart and promise me that you will come back and we can keep talking another time?
Sure. I would also say, if you don't want to go through the LinkedIn or the website, come straight to Nancy at growconsulting.today, and that will just come straight to me. So either medium, I'm happy to chat about this kind of thing.
Okay, wonderful. So we're also going to put Nancy's email address in the show notes. So if you want to connect with Nancy, as soon as you're finished listening to this podcast, go to the show notes, click on our website, click on our LinkedIn profile, or click on her email address and email her. And I know you will be glad that you did.
Thank you so much, Wendy.
Well, thank you, Nancy. And thank you, all of our listeners. You have been listening to Salesology Conversations with Sales Leaders with my very special guest, Nancy Wilhite, and her company is Grow Consulting. And if you found value in listening to today's podcast, then please think about one sales leader, one business owner, one entrepreneur, somebody that you know that you think might also find value in listening to this podcast. And please do share the link with them. And until we meet again, visualize yourself surrounded by cash, really large bills.
Love it.
And thank you, Nancy Wilhite.
You've been listening to Salesology, Conversations with Sales Leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. Be sure to follow so that you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, please leave a rating and review, and be sure to share it with your friends. Tune in every week for more exciting insights and wisdom on transforming sales. And until next time, visualize yourself surrounded by cash, very large bills.